Well, it's that time of year again. The holidays are upon us. And while it's usually a joyful season, it can also bring up some complicated feelings,
Hmm.
especially if we're dealing with loss or feeling a little disconnected.
Absolutely. The holidays definitely have a way of amplifying those emotions.
Exactly. And that's actually what we're diving deep into today, this idea of empty chair syndrome.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, so it's this concept explored by psychologist Pilar Enjamio.
Okay.
She wrote this fascinating article for OK News. I mean, it really got me thinking about how Christmas can be a time of joy, but also, a time where those feelings of absence are really heightened.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I mean, the holidays are all about togetherness, right? So
Yeah.
when there's someone missing, either physically or emotionally, it can really stand out.
Right, and that's what's so interesting about Njamio's take on this. She doesn't just focus on the obvious, like missing someone who's passed away,
Hmm.
but also that feeling of disconnect you can have even when you're surrounded by people.
Like you're at a party, but you feel totally alone.
Exactly. But let's start with the more traditional understanding of empty chair syndrome. How does Njamio define it?
Well, in her article, she describes it as this profound sense of loss and longing for someone who's no longer present. And it's not just about death, it can be about any kind of absence, like a loved one moving away or a relationship ending.
And you can imagine how that feeling is amplified during the holidays, right? I mean, it's a time when traditions and family gatherings really emphasize those who are missing.
Absolutely. It's like all those rituals and celebrations suddenly have this void, this reminder of who's not there.
And Njamio actually shares this really powerful anecdote in her article about a mother who lost her daughter in a train accident.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it happened just a few days before Christmas.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the weight of that grief, especially during a time that's supposed to be so joyful.
Right. It's like a double blow. And I bet all those holiday traditions probably brought back so many painful memories.
Exactly. But what I found so moving about that story was that the mother's grief was acknowledged.
In what way?
Well, her family made a point of setting a place at the table for her daughter, even though she wasn't physically there. And they shared stories about her, keeping her memory alive in their celebration.
That's beautiful. It's like they were saying, we see your pain and we're honoring your daughter's memory with you.
Exactly. And I think that's such an important message, especially during the holidays. It's okay to grieve, to acknowledge those empty chairs, and to find ways to connect with the memory of those we've lost.
Yeah, it's not about pretending they're not gone. It's about finding ways to keep their spirit present.
Right. And I think that leads us to Njamio's more nuanced take on empty chair syndrome, the kind that happens even when we're surrounded by people.
Yes. That feeling of being emotionally disconnected, like you're there, but not really there.
Exactly. It's like you're going through the motions of togetherness, but the genuine connection is missing.
She even uses the word ritual to describe some of those holiday gatherings. Like we're so focused on the traditions, the presents, the food, that we forget about the actual human connection.
It's almost like we're performing the holidays instead of experiencing them.
Mm.
Have you ever felt that disconnect maybe at a family gathering or a work party?
Oh, absolutely. I think most of us have at some point, right? It's like you're surrounded by people, but you still feel utterly alone.
Yeah, and what's tricky is that everyone's supposed to be so happy during the holidays.
Yeah.
So it can feel even harder to admit that you're feeling lonely or disconnected.
Right. It's like you're supposed to be swept up in the holiday cheer, but inside you're feeling empty.
Exactly. And what I appreciate about Njamio's perspective is that she challenges us to rethink the whole idea of Christmas. Like, she argues that true connection shouldn't be confined to specific dates on the calendar.
Yeah, that's a powerful point. It's like we put so much pressure on ourselves to have these perfect, magical holidays, but real connection, real love, that's something we need to cultivate all year round.
Absolutely. And I love the story Njamio tells about her father.
Oh, yeah. What about him?
Well, on Christmas Eve, he saved a drowning man.
Wow.
Yeah, and apparently people had given up on the guy, said he was beyond saving.
Oh, no.
But her father, he just kept going, and he actually brought the man back to life.
That's incredible. A true Christmas miracle.
Right. And you know what she said struck her most about that story?
What's that?
It was that her father saw the face of God in that stranger.
Wow.
It's like in that moment of crisis, he saw beyond the surface and recognized the inherent worth of that individual, even though he was a complete stranger.
It really speaks to the true spirit of Christmas, doesn't it? That compassion, that selflessness, that recognition that every human life is precious.
Exactly. And it's a reminder that we don't have to wait for a special occasion to act with that kind of love and compassion.
Right. We can choose to see the face of God in everyone we encounter, every single day.
And Enjamio takes this even further by highlighting those who work through the holidays.
Ah, yes. The doctors, nurses, first responders.
Exactly. I mean, they're literally giving the gift of life by working on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. It's a powerful reminder that the most valuable gifts aren't material things, but those acts of service, those moments of connection, that genuine care for others.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it? When you think about the sacrifices those people are making, it makes you realize what truly matters.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into empty chair syndrome, what are some key takeaways?
Well, I think it's clear that it's about so much more than just missing someone who's passed away. It's about recognizing that feeling of disconnection, that emptiness that can creep in even when we're surrounded by people.
And it's a reminder that those feelings are valid, that it's okay to grieve and to acknowledge the absence of those we love.
Right. But it's also a call to action, to challenge ourselves to create more meaningful connections, not just during the holidays, but throughout the year.
Exactly. It's about making an effort to be present with the people in our lives, to truly see them, to listen to them, to connect with them on a deeper level.
So maybe that's something for all of us to reflect on. How can we make every day a little more like Christmas in that sense? How can we bring that spirit of love, compassion, and connection into our everyday lives?
It's a beautiful challenge,
Right.
and one that's definitely worth taking on.